Hey there, Facebook. Hey there, Instagram. How are you? I'm Donna, the interior design advocate, and your advocate in all things interior design. We are kind of losing our marbles here at our design studio. Katie and I are getting a little crazy before we came out here to say hello to you live every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We like to stop what we're doing at our luxury interior design company and come out here, teach a lesson, because we also are a design coaching company. We have two brands. The Interior Design Advocate is one brand, and Interiors by Donna Hoffman is our other. So when it comes to coaching design divas, design lovelies all across the country and beyond, love it. It's part of my right work. My team and I love doing it as well for you. So we have some great stuff planned for you. I'm going to tell you about the secrets, happy surprise. At the end of this Facebook Live, I'll tell you what's coming up and what we're doing with the next few Facebook Lives as a result. Hello to everybody. I'm seeing hellos and waves coming in. So this week, we are talking about fighting your architecture. And if you have spent, I'm sorry, I keep swallowing. Just before we went live, I don't know why I decided to throw a sucking candy in my mouth. And when I saw the time, I decided to chew it up. Now it's all stuck in my teeth, so sorry about that. Anyway, we are talking about, I'm getting thumbs up on chewing on the sucking candies. Doesn't take much to make everybody happy. I like that. I'm getting lots of thumbs up on that one. So we're talking about fighting your architecture. And if you've ever studied with me in any of my free workshops or any of my courses, you know I talk about that you really can't fight your architecture. You can coax your architecture. You can push your architecture. But a fight, you never win. Architecture always wins. In fact, Katie and I were in a meeting just a short while ago with a nonprofit organization. We're tithing some of our time to help them redesign a space. And it has to start with the space planning. You got to respect what the space is telling you to do. And the people at the nonprofit said, well, we need more blah, blah, blah in this space. And we kept saying, yeah, but you've got pass-through issues. We have to watch what we can and can't do, because when you overpack spaces, architecture wins, you lose. Well, there are times, though, when you can wrestle a little bit with your architecture, when you can coax your architecture, and specifically when you have an oversized room or space that you feel just is not cozy enough, you can wrestle with your architecture and you can win. There are things that you can do. And conversely, when you have a too small space, there are things that you can do to coax some good action there as well. And we're going to talk about that. And I'd love to hear from you if you are wrestling with a space that's too big or a space that's too small. Let us know what the struggle is for you in that room, and maybe I can help you during this live. Okay, so let's talk about the oversized space. A lot of you are upsizing into two-story homes that have two-story spaces, and some of you are downsizing into newer homes, newer construction that also have these two-story vaulted rooms. Even if it's a downsize for you, it's possible that the fact that it's two-story, things are getting a little bit bigger for you. And you want to make sure it feels really cozy and charming. We just finished designing an extensive property, and it was residence, and it's very, very large, and one of the greatest compliments we've gotten and our clients have gotten is that when people walk into this very large space, they have been told, and we have been told, oh my gosh, even though this home is clearly really, really big, it feels so cozy and charming here. I feel like I could stay forever. That was deliberate. That was design decisions made to shrink the space a little bit so it felt more human scale and more cozy. So what can you do if you have an oversized space? Well, you need to know how to flip around some design strategy. So what you need to know is that to do things that will soak up space in an oversized room or a two-story room might be something that's a really good move for you. So pattern, for example, pattern moves toward the eye, it'll come toward you. So if you have a two-story room and you like pattern on the floor, by all means, a beautiful area rug with an oversized pattern or a large-scale pattern or even a mid-scale pattern. Pattern's a great way to start to lift that floor up a little bit, which starts to shrink the room down a little bit. Same thing on your window treatments. If you like pattern at the window and you're working in an oversized room, you know broadcasting pattern on those window treatments is going to bring that window wall a little bit forward, a little toward you, and it'll help, again, to just soak up a little bit of space, and the whole room starts to cozy up. Same thing with darker colors. You know, you can do that chocolate brown sofa. You can do that the rich navy blue sofa is a big deep gray sectional. If you have an oversized space and room and you are or open concept area and you're trying to soak up space, you do those kinds of design moves to help you shrink down that space and make it more human scale, more cozy. And you want to avoid doing certain things like, you know, big oversized mirror, standing mirror. You don't really want to do that in an oversized room that you're trying to cozy up, because mirror is going to expand your sense of space. And everything I've just, you know, prescribed in terms of adding to the space in order to soak up some room, to shrink down that room, you don't want to do the opposite of that in that large oversized room. You don't want to do a lot of light color if you're trying to shrink down the space, okay? So it's not wrong to do light color in an oversized room, but if you say, it feels kind of cold in here, it feels, you know, just a little overwhelmingly big, you can do those kinds of things that I just mentioned earlier at the beginning of this Facebook Live that will help you shrink down your space. And also in oversized spaces, you want to make sure your furniture scale is appropriate to the size of those rooms as well. So you don't want a lot of little itty bitty things. You can start to just create a sense of chaos and congestion in those oversized rooms. So, you know, large movements of things, large pieces of furniture, sectionals, whatever, big coffee tables. Same thing with accessories. You don't want a lot of itty bitty little things, because again, if you have that big room and you're trying to shrink it down to a more human cozy scale, you want to make sure you're doing appropriate design for big space design. Now, what about the small room that might be bothering you, right? The room that you wish it was bigger. Maybe it's your kitchen, maybe it's your bedroom. Maybe it's any room in your home office, your dining room. So what you want to do in those cases is do things that will expand walls, that will drop the floor away, that will push the windows away. What does that mean? Well, translated in small space design, you want to probably avoid big scale pattern on an area rug, or even high contrast colors in even a mid-scale pattern rug, because that will really come toward you. You might also want to avoid large pieces of furniture in really dark color, like a large sectional and even the large sofa. If you love deep, rich color, maybe you love that kind of Ralph Lauren-y, you know, leathered, worn look in upholstery. Maybe you want to do that on some club chairs in this fictitious living room that we're trying to make bigger, and then do the sofa in a lighter color. So again, if you keep thinking about color, dark color moving towards you, light color moving away from you, same thing with pattern moving toward you, a more solid something, textured something, or even tone on tone pattern that doesn't have a lot of high contrast to it, that can move away from you if it's in a lighter color. So again, small space decorating, be careful on how much dark color you put into the space if you're trying to make the room look bigger. Be careful about how much pattern you put into the space if you're trying to make the room look bigger. For example, in a small room that I want to make look bigger, I wouldn't do a really intense pattern on the window treatments, because I'm going to move that window wall toward me instead of away from me. Instead, on a window treatment in a small room that I'm trying to expand, I would probably pick a lighter color window treatment, or a treatment color that is fairly similar to the wall color as well, just to push it away, push it out. Also, with small rooms that you want to try to make look larger, unless you've been hiding under a rock and you've never read a blog post from me or anybody, you probably already know that adding mirror to a small space definitely helps to increase a sense of spaciousness in that room. And also with small space decorating, be careful, edit. You don't need a ton of accessories in there, and especially a lot of itty bitty little things, okay? So hopefully that starts to help you a little bit on how you need to be very strategic in what you put into your spaces if you're trying to coax your architecture to feel larger or to feel smaller. And I have to tell you, as professional designers, we do both. And that said, there are times we're working in homes small. We just did a beautiful living room. It's a smaller living room. And we were not concerned about the size of it. The family living there didn't care about the size of it. They loved bold pattern. We put bold pattern on the window, and we even did some bold pattern in some wallpaper panels behind the sofa for a little bit of extra bling without a lot of cost. Looks great. Did it shrink down the space a little bit? You bet it did, but nobody cared. So again, there's no right or wrong in terms of what can go into these spaces, but you as a wise design loving design diva, you want to make sure you're intentional about everything you put into a space. Every last element says something and does something, affects the eye, affects your perception of a space. So hopefully that helps you. So let's see what's on your mind. If you're having struggles with a large space or a small space, let me know, and I'm happy to help you with those. I'm getting a lot of hellos. I'm getting hellos from Texas. I'm getting hellos from South Carolina and Chicago. Awesome sauce. Glad you guys are here with me. I'm so happy to see Willette here, and Pam is here from Texas, or Pamela. I don't know if you're a Pam or a Pamela. I'm a New Yorker, so I shorten every single name. I do. As a kid, the kid across the street was Ira. We all called him I. So I don't know why New Yorkers do that. We shorten everything. And yes, my big brothers still call me Don. Makes me feel like home again. All right, Diana is here from Chicago. Okay, Wendy, now we're getting into the problems. Wendy Smith has a long, narrow room with too many doorways. Help. Great. We're going to come back and talk about that. That is common. A lot of people struggle with that. It drives me nuts when people have that to deal with. I wonder what the builders are thinking when they do that. I have people coming in from Kansas. It's Chicolin. Chicolin. I hope I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I'm not. Sherry is here from Naples, Florida. Cherry is here as well. Okay, Jennifer is saying, I have a tray ceiling in my dining room. The light fixture is centered in the room. My table is off-centered due to the need for a hutch and buffet. I need this space for storage, and it's plenty big if I use the wall. If I move the light fixture, it would look weird with the ceiling. If I swag it, it looks weird with the tray. Thoughts? Okay, so this is really not about large space, small space. This is more of an individual problem. Jennifer, I'm going to come back to you. Kyle is saying hi from California. Kim Kane is saying I'm working with 2 small bedrooms with a dormer and a medium window in each. Half of the room is able to be walked through. Both are on the 2nd floor. Yeah, the small bedrooms are tough, and those dormer windows can be tough. We've got an announcement later for you, Kim, that you might actually enjoy. The whole thing with small bedrooms, as with the long, narrow room that we're going to dive into as well, that somebody mentioned earlier. You just have to make sure that you're not overpacking these rooms. And, you know, with small bedrooms, one of the biggest mistakes people do is they put a bed in there that's just too darn big. So really be brutal in editing the furniture in those rooms, Kim. And I'll talk to you about your dormer windows at the end of this session. Donna is saying, I have high ceilings with lots of windows, but my rooms are not large. How do I make the room look bigger and the ceilings look not so high? Okay, so Donna, if you came in late on this Facebook Live, I'm going to ask you to re-watch it, because at the beginning I give you some good tips about shrinking up those really big rooms. But in terms of lowering your ceiling, what you can do is you lift your floor. You don't want to put color up on your ceiling unless you are doing, if you're rustic, maybe you want to do some, you know, stained wood beams. That'll drop your ceiling down for sure. Dark up on the ceiling will drop it. But you can also bring the floor up, a patterned rug, a rich colored, a deep colored rug. That will help to just shrink up the space a little bit to make it a little bit cozier, especially because you have lots and lots of beautiful windows in the room. I bet that room would be beautiful with that kind of tension. Pull up the rug, but meanwhile, those windows are pushing outward. Carmen is saying, what about long open concept with lower ceiling? So we'll talk about the long room. Okay. Denise is in from Oklahoma. Erin is here from Oregon. Sharon is here from Vero Beach, Florida. All right. I got design divas all over the place. This is so good. Oh my gosh, we have design divas coming in from all over the country for our conference in 2 weeks, but that's another story. Okay, so let's talk about the long, narrow room. And Insta, if you have something to add to the conversation, I love you girls too, so you gotta just pipe up and Katie will get it to me. The long, narrow room is a bugaboo, and it gets worse because of all the entry points that you have to honor. So I'm about to give you bad news, but I give this news to you because I love you. Your long, narrow room is probably even smaller and longer and more narrow than you think it is because of those entry points, because you have to leave appropriate space off of those entry points. 3 feet is what's most comfortable, right? Before you start throwing furniture into somebody's pathway. So I absolutely want you to space plan these long, narrow rooms. And I want you to ask yourself first, what's the primary function of this space? And will the space support it? For example, long, narrow, great room. Chances are you're going to say, well, TV viewing is a prime, a prime need. Okay, good. That doesn't mean that you can do stadium seating. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to get a prime seat. It's possible that in a long, narrow room, your TV may not be able to be directly opposite your sofa. Let's face it, long, narrow room, you might end up saying, I want that TV on above my fireplace at the narrow end of the room. Well, that may mean that some people have a dead-on view to your TV, and some don't. Some are going to be doing this. They'll be turning to the side to see the TV. Not the worst thing in the world to have that happen. Also good to do things like chairs that swivel so people can, give themselves a better viewing angle. With long, narrow rooms, you can also think about dividing that room, if it's truly long, narrow, big enough for 2 different zones. What's a zone? A zone is sort of an activity area. The zone is the word that the professional design community assigns to space plans. So you might have a TV viewing zone, which is centered around the TV, and maybe the room is so narrow and long that there's another kind of dead space area. Well, what could go there? A beautiful decorative writing desk and a chair, and that's like a little, a little homework area for the kids. Or a small game table could be where the kids used to sit around and play bananagrams when your grandkids come over, or when you're doing, some people are doing the dishes at Thanksgiving, and a couple of you sneak into the room and get in a quick game of I don't know what. So be willing to break that room up into multiple zones if it's truly large and long and narrow. But you have to protect good pass-through space in those long, narrow rooms. Also, other things that can happen if the TV is not optimally located, you can put it on an arm, right, in those long, narrow rooms. So if this is the TV, it just kind of pitches out when you want to watch, and then it kicks back. So if it's just you and your spouse, or you and your +1 living, year-round in your space, and the TV isn't optimally placed in this long, narrow room, put the TV where it makes sense aesthetically and functionally, but you can think about putting it on an arm to help. So Instagram is saying, how should I paint a tray ceiling to make a room feel bigger? All white, or should I paint the center the same color as my ceiling? Okay, that's a great question. So when you have a ceiling that you want to move away from the eye, keeping the color up there light is the smartest way to go. Now with a tray, you can get a little bit funkier, because a tray, you're not doing the entire ceiling, right? The wall comes up, then it goes to a flat, and then you rise into your tray. So the flat, wall, then the flat. The flat should be in a lighter, a ceiling color, whatever that is, which continues on your rise. And then at the very top, your tray flat, yeah, you could do a very mild wisp of color. You could. You're trying to make the room feel big. You could do nothing in terms of color on that tray. But if you say, I really want a little bit of a design flourish, so there could just be a whisper of something. Let's just say, I'm making this up, let's say blue is important in your room, and you have some pale shades of blue, some grayed down blues. Maybe you do like a mix up on your ceiling that's 50% white, 50% one of your palest blues. So there's just a little bit of a wash there. It'll still feel expansive because it's light, but you still have a little bit of a flourish. So this kind of gets us to an interesting point in design. If this, then that. If you want to do this, you might have to give up that. So if you don't want any color on your ceiling, definitely keeping it all into whatever your ceiling white is will definitely help to lift that tray and just keep it going up, up, up and away from the eye. But I do think you can afford to do a little bit of a wash as well. So I'm getting a little something from Katie telling me time for last 2 questions. So I'm going to put out there to you, we have time for 2 more questions. Jennifer is asking about this tray ceiling with the dining room, and the fixture is centered in the room, but the table is off center due to the hutch. That could look strange unless it's a really big room, but I'm thinking that could look, if it's a really big room, Jennifer, and the fixture is there really to illuminate this whole space, yeah, the dining table is not centered under it and it's not a problem. But if it's a dining table fixture and the table isn't centered under it, that is where it could look strange. So I don't know what it is that you're dealing with. You said, I need the space for your buffet for storage. It's plenty big if I use the wall. I would not ever put a dining table fixture not over a dining table. So hopefully that answers you. You either have to move your fixture or amend your plan. Unless, again, it's a big 2-story room. You know, we just did a very large family room, 2-story great room. There's just a big fixture in the room. It's not centered over any particular part of the room. But in a dining room, you center the fixture over the table in almost all cases, unless you're doing something pretty wild in this huge space. So there you go. So 2 more questions coming at you. What did I do there? Okay. Okay, what about long open concept with lower ceilings? Carmen wants to know. Carmen, just keep your ceilings ceiling white. You can take, if you have a crown, you can paint your crown trim white and then do the same color but in a matte finish and curl that up onto your ceiling. Love to see you hanging window treatments panels in that room, nice and high to the ceiling as possible. Hopefully that helps you as well. Last question, what's the best window treatment for a single window at one end of a short wall in a very small room? Kyle, I've got to see the room you're talking about. That is just such an open-ended question. Can't even begin to really give you a great answer on that. I'd need a picture to tell you that. Cherry is saying, thank you. You are so welcome. So I want to let you know, because I'm getting some window treatment questions, I want to let you know about some exciting things that are happening and something that we're doing next week in honor of all that. So in 4 weeks' time, just exactly actually 4 weeks' time, we are kicking off my brand new Window Boss course. We're doing a full launch on it. It's called Window Boss, How to Plan and Select Your Window Treatments Like a Boss, from ready-mades to semi-custom to custom. It's an amazing course. We did it with about 100 design divas earlier in the year. They loved it, and the results they were getting were amazing. So in honor of that course kicking off, I'm going to be kicking it off with a brand new free online workshop. So I'll be giving you more details about that and letting you know when registration for those workshops is opening, but that will be happening October 16, 17, I think it is, or 15, 16, somewhere in there. I'll have my ducks in a row next time, and I'll tell you exactly what that is. But excited to do that with you. And the workshop, the free workshop, has a lot of really good takeaway, and I'm really going to be showing you what you should be thinking about and what you shouldn't be thinking about. And it works for ready-made, semis, as well as custom, or a blend. And in honor of this brand new Window Boss, I'm getting hearts and happies on that one. In honor of this kicking off, starting next week, I'm going to be doing a 3-part series Facebook Live for you, all around window treatments. So exciting things. I love being of service to you. So I'm doing some great teaching with you. So next week, we're going to be talking about how window treatments can transform a space. That's part 1 of a 3-part series. How window treatments can transform your space. And by all means, show up with window treatment questions, as long as I do not need to see a picture to be able to answer you well. And no, don't write me a paragraph describing your space instead of a picture. If you need to describe your space to be in a paragraph or 2, then that tells you need to show me a picture. But if you can ask me a question like, what do you do when, how would you handle, those kind of things, I don't need pictures with window treatments to be able to tell you those answers. Okay, so that's coming up for next week. Also, I want to let you know that, by all means, if you're not already following us on Instagram, girlfriend, what are you doing? get over there. We love seeing you on Instagram at decorating.genius, at decorating.genius. That's how you'll see more lessons from us, little quick touch points, and I love talking to you when you guys start commenting. We like to talk back to you, so it's another great way to connect with us. And if you missed any part of this Facebook Live, do know you can find us on YouTube. All of our Facebook Lives we're now posting to YouTube, so you can catch up if you've missed any, and even in that upcoming series, if you miss any, you can catch up there as well. And I think that's all of the announcements. Oh, Design Diva Conference, there it is. Oh my gosh. We are a little less than 2 weeks away. We've limited seating in this, so it's going to be a lot of great meaty takeaway in a really good sized group. But we still have a couple of spaces left. If you'd still like to scooch in, head over to the interiordesignadvocate.com to the events page. We're still offering a second ticket. If you buy one at the price now, we still offer a second ticket for $150. So it's a nice way to split it with a girlfriend if you want, a gal pal, your mom, your daughter, and scooch in. We just have a couple of spots left. We have an amazing, oh my gosh, design panel planned. Rock star designers, people I so respect, and it's coming at the end of day one, but we're doing things like what furniture, how to mix different furniture styles is one of the workshops. The color game changer is another workshop. Common space planning problems and the hacks around them is another workshop. Masterminding is happening. There's more. Just go to the website, check out the agenda. It is amazing. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. We're just super excited the closer it gets. So there it is. All right, lovelies, listen, I'm going to scooch out of here. Katie and I have more to do before the day is done, but it was great being here with you. I'll see you next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, for how window treatments can transform a space. And that's it. I'm wishing you girls and you gals and you design divas a brilliant week, a gorgeous week, and I'll see you in a week. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.